Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to be here and to be given the opportunity to present at this conference. Before I start, I would like to thank all the people involved in organizing this great event, particularly my dear friends and professors, Maria and Branislav Todorovic. And it is a great honor to be here and to present in front of the president of ESHRE, Mr. Wentz. Thank you. My presentation is not that technical. The idea is to propose a learning method that could help young engineers to better fit into consulting world. It is interesting to see the gap that young engineers or graduate engineers have to bridge between studying in university and becoming part of the workforce. On one hand, it is clear that businesses or companies are not much motivated to provide an integrated, structured, continual professional development for young engineers beyond their business goals. On the other hand, there are plenty of work experience programs provided by universities, but something is lacking in terms of providing what is really needed to well fit into consulting world. I'm director of an energy management company from Sydney, and dealing with so many, firsthand dealing with so many young engineers, I could see that something was missing, and first couple of years of their careers as junior engineers, clearly it was something that was lacking. Existing work experience programs, no doubt, are very beneficial, but from practical engineering works in consulting companies, more is needed. So I'm proposing a learning method that should bridge that gap. Somebody can say nothing new, but basically looking from a consulting point of view, where we know exactly what we want from young engineers, there is an impression that a learning method that would better address practical engineering skills required for consulting world, if you like, is something that maybe can be done better. So, based on first-hand experience, I'm proposing a learning method that would have two modules. First one is in-house learning, can be done at university, can be done in kind of privately arranged sessions with the industry experts. And module 2 is a well-structured, mentored work experience. So it is somehow similar to what already is somehow available, but with a much stronger focus on consulting side and on practical needs of consulting world. Current situation. So yeah, that gap between the knowledge acquired at university and what is actually needed and requested by employers is probably the most important. Lack of structured approach for upskilling of junior engineers. As we said, we have to understand employers or companies, they're not much motivated to do much beyond their business goals. Junior engineers typically, based on my experience from Australia, could take easily 5, 6, 7 years. Junior engineers not having much opportunity to work on projects in terms of to understand the whole picture, just dealing with the bits and pieces and learning at a pace that can be much faster if they had opportunity to be exposed to the right projects, to kind of to a whole picture in terms of projects, in terms of variety of requirements, from engineering skills, admin skills, being involved even with sale, marketing. So all that, considering the current situation, all that is causing a feeling of frustration, feeling of lack of confidence, the most importantly, a longer status as a junior engineer than it should be, and the most importantly, getting lower remuneration, lower salaries. So what I'm proposing is generic improvement concept, again, based on first-hand experiences. At first, important theoretical concept or key principles should be revisited to an extent that is really important and needed for particular discipline. In my case, that is energy management or air conditioning design. And there are a couple of things that I noticed dealing with a lot of young engineers. That basically simply people forget things, which is quite fine. But if you like, out of volume that we can call 100%, maybe you need 5 to 10%. But those 5 to 10% you really need to know inside out. So first point is revisiting important theoretical concept directly relevant to engineering practice in which you are involved. Second one is familiarity or even basic knowledge on variety of design, equipment and control concept. Now I'm talking more from a focus of energy management and HV design engineer. So we're talking about simply focus on things that are really relevant for consulting world and something that is expected from you to know. Could be something as simple as doing heat load modeling, or doing regression analysis, or knowing how to do energy audit, how to to ask right questions. Third step is learning and adopting a lot of mini engineering skills, which means I know how to do this, and this, tick, 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 tick. So you know exactly what you know to do. So when you go to your interview, or if you start, if you started working with your employer, you have more confidence in terms of what you really know, and something that is directly relevant to the field in which you are involved. In this case, we are talking about HVAC field, energy management, energy efficiency improvement work. So these three steps present that module 1, in-house learning. When I say in-house learning, again, that can be taught at university or can be taught in privately arranged sessions with the industry experts. What is important to note is we have real consulting world on one side, we have university on the other side, and we have graduate engineers or young engineers in the middle. So young engineers can't get help can't get assistance that's really needed for integrated, structured, continual professional development from companies. As you said, you can learn just one area and nothing beyond the business goals of the company where you work. But on the other hand, at uni, there is every effort to assist you, and there is work experience programs, but generally speaking, that is not sufficient what is really expected from you as a future consultant. So what I'm proposing and what I believe that is the right approach based on first-hand experience and a lot of projects is that experts from industry are the one really to bridge that gap, to assist young engineers or graduate students to understand consulting world from really people who are experts in that area, which means that we would have outsourced teachers, outsourced industry experts to basically arm you with the skills that you need to become a successful engineer or to successfully bridge that gap that we can call 3, 4, 5 years. I was personally conducting this kind of training in Sydney to young engineers, and that was something that was quite... So, apologies. So I got a couple of students in Sydney where I provided this kind of training, which was, you know, nothing to do with uni or to do with employers. So that was structured training to simply improve skills of junior engineers in a much shorter period of time. So instead of to wait 5, 6, 7, 8 years to become something close to intermediate or senior engineers, that kind of knowledge can be acquired in 1 year if you have really proper industry experts to teach you. Now, obviously, it would be better if that was arranged through university because it would be cheaper. Otherwise, that course could cost order of 10,000 euros. But if you consider that difference in salaries between junior and intermediate junior engineer could be easily $20,000 to $30,000, and basically money invested in that training you would pay back in 1 year, let alone increased confidence, much better feeling about your skills, better remuneration, eventually better overall well-being. I personally witnessed a lot of struggle of young engineers working in companies where I used to work, and it was quite disappointing to see that basically company wouldn't do much beyond their business goals, which is understandable. So I truly believe that there is a gap that needs to be better bridged by employing industry experts, going through module 1, which means revisit important theoretical concept, becoming familiar with the basics of design, equipment controls, and then going through real projects, real applications, engineering applications in the area, in this case HVAC and energy management. And after that, well-structured work experience can be done. I envisage 80 hours for module 2, structured work experience, and 100 hours for module 1, the 3 steps of learning. And that is something that simply would shorten that junior status of, in terms of skills, in terms of better employability, better remuneration. So yes, module 1 approximately 100 hours, module 2 approximately 80 hours. Module 1 having 3 steps that we mentioned: revisiting theoretical concept, revisiting learning, design, equipment and control concepts. Step 3, adopting a set of relevant practical engineering skills. And module 2, practicing those skills. So in practical terms, module 1, if you're talking about basic theoretical concepts that are a must for one HVAC design engineer or energy management engineer, you must know basic concept of refrigeration cycle, about what is condenser, what is evaporator, how a refrigeration cycle is functioning, concept of latent heat, concept of cooling, heating, coefficient of performance, energy efficiency. All that is something that can be revisited in a pretty short period of time. Step module 1, part B, becoming familiar with a wide range of equipment and processes, namely chillers, hot water heaters, boilers, pumps, fans, becoming familiar with the basic concept of primary, secondary, chilled water distribution systems, condensed water systems, cooling towers, how would you select air flows and water flow, size of pipes. So all that would be taught in Module 1B. Module 1, Step C, is about applications and what I mentioned, learning around 50 mini engineering skills. So you know exactly what you know, and that would go through a simple process that would be just tick, tick, tick. I know how to do heat load modeling, I know how to do energy audit, I understand how to process energy bills, I know how to deal with smart metering data. So very practical approach with outcomes that would be definitely successful because it's coming from what industry wants from you. And nearly there. Module 2 is mentioned 80 hours to practice structured, to practice all that learned in Module 1 through structured works experience, but in a different way, something where industry expert would find suitable company for you. They would agree on scope of work and on outcomes against which you would be assessed at the end of that structured work experience. Probably the key moment is that you would be mentored all the time by industry expert. So basically, it is something much more tangible in terms of successful outcomes that you are taught by someone who would be your boss one day and would require exactly what you learned. Again, someone can say, I presented this seminar in Sydney 10 days ago, and a couple of people from Sydney University were a little bit of defensive. Anyone can say, well, what you're proposing was already seen, but in this way, this is really structured to increase success without any doubt. And the most important thing is that basically you would be taught by industry experts in a very structured way. And if I can say, learning from bosses is something that couldn't fail, because those people would be the one requesting from you, do this, do this, do this. Yeah. So the whole idea was simply by observing what's happening in real consulting market, to try to help young engineers by understanding what's happening on consulting side, on university side, and from first-hand experience to try to assist you, young engineers, to succeed better, to shorten your junior status, and to get to better remuneration in a shorter period of time, with the confidence that you're really worth that money or better remuneration based on the skills and improved knowledge acquired through the proposed method of learning. Thank you.